Welcome, I'm Bev Adams. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. I'd like to show you this card today. It uses Petal Palette. This is a large set that comes in 2 cases. I have squeezed it all into one. Took a photocopy of how I got it all fit in. That gives me more room on my stamp shelf. I'm also using the Petals More Thinlits that coordinate, and sheet music. My cardstock. The base is very vanilla. It's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. I have another piece of very vanilla that is 5 by 3 3/4. I have some more very vanilla. I listed it actually as a 1/2 inch by 3 and 2 by 2, but I'm actually using a piece that's 2.5 by 4 inches. You will need a piece of Calypso Coral that's 5 1/4 by 4. You could cut this piece out of the middle, but I've already cut this out for myself. I've cut that same piece out in Wild Wasabi and this branch in from Wild Wasabi, and so you will need a piece that's 2 3/4 by 4 1/2 for all of this, and this piece could also be cut from the middle here. So your first step, if you're going to use that middle part, is to go ahead and cut these out in the Big Shot. You're only going to be seeing a border. You may want to use the precision base plate to cut these detailed pieces out. Stamp the bird and thank you in basic black on your smallest piece of very vanilla. You don't want to be too close with the thank you. And this variation is intentional. That's the way the stamp was made. Use Calypso Coral and a sponge dauber and color your bird just a little bit. Stamp your greeting, "Life is so much better with you in it," in black ink on the inside. Then stamp sheet music. Now, one of the things you're going to watch for to make sure it's right side up is watch for these musical clefs. Look for these. These will go on the left side, and so that's the right side up. Not very many people will pay attention to that, so I'm putting this down just flat on my table. Putting those scalloped edges on the side, those musical clefs, and inking right on my desk. Carefully placing my cardstock on top of that. A scrap of paper on top of that, and then I like to use just a regular block. This is a D block, but just one of the larger blocks, to holding the cardstock still so it doesn't move around, and just kind of like I'm ironing. And that will give you a good image. Then I'm going to stamp the leaves in Wild Wasabi. And I'm stamping right over. You may want to stamp the inside of your card. And why not give your mailman and the recipient a thrill by stamping down here. We're going to cut up our bird and our thank you. So I'm placing my thank you a little bit to one side, so it's not centered exactly. And then there's plenty of room for my bird here. Cover that with my clear plate. And my bird is ready. But I want to cut this one again. So I cut it a little bit this way. Now I'm going to just move it over so it's still going to be centered. But I want to have a little bit of an edge on this side. So that might be a lot. And roll this through the second time. Now I want to trim this piece right at this corner. It's a pretty straight shot. Bring in the silicone mat and we're ready for adhesive to start putting our card together. So I'm just going to put adhesive. I'm using the liquid glue. I'm going to put adhesive here. You could use the fine tip glue pen. I do like that fine tip glue pen, but I find since I have my liquid glue out all the time, if I put it on and then allow it to dry, it doesn't ooze out the side. Remember that a little bit of this glue goes a long way, so do not squeeze. I want to trim the leaves off this piece. And put adhesive on this piece. There is a front and a back when you cut out your pieces from the big shot, so that the back kind of looks cupped a little bit. There's a real slight cup. You want to be sure whichever way you do it to have this piece going the same direction. Otherwise they won't match. So this piece, which may or may not be cut up for you, will go on the front of the card. Again, if you have cut it up, not a problem, you'll be covering it. Go ahead and put the music on the front of the card, and that will be covering up any of your cuts. Center your thank you on your tag. And so that gives you a really nice little border. I'm putting this has, if you kind of see that it's a triangle, I'm putting the long part of the triangle facing down here. And I am kind of going over the edge of the music, very intentionally. Then putting this right on top. The large flower goes up in that corner. And this cluster of leaves, they do not match what we stamped, so don't try to match it exactly. And just doubling up on that leaf, then using dimensionals on my banner, and on my bird. And set the bird on the leaf somewhere. And the banner up in here, kind of between these pieces. You might want to bling it up a little bit with some pearls. The medium-sized pearls seem to fit very nicely in the smaller flowers. Kind of almost setting them into those holes. And the larger pearl. And that's it. I think that this is beautiful, and of course you could change up the colors if you'd like. I think any kind of flowery color would look beautiful. If you'd like the full directions, come on over to bevadams.com. I'll have the exact link for you If you're on YouTube, look down below to the video description and I'll have the direct link there for you too, and I'll have the video posted on my website. Thank you for stopping by. Talk to you soon.